Hey yo, what's good y'all? It's Stinger, world champion at dressing only from the waist up. And today I'm going to be showing each and every one of you how you can make some villainous beats in the style of Tyler the Creator's newest snippet, Saint Chroma. And now in today's tutorial, we're not really going to be going over the build up with like the stomping and the vocals and all that kind of stuff, but we're more so going to be focusing on that dirty ass drop. Now, we're only given like 7 seconds of a snippet, so I did my best to try to reconstruct that style. But with that being said, the beat that we're going to be going over today sounds a little something like this. And the first and most prominent aspect of this beat that I want to cover is the drums. And for the drums, you're going to want to pick the most I just spit everywhere. And for the drums, you're going to want to pick the most experimental sounds that you can find. And I got my drums from 2 different places. First is from the African Dreams sample pack. This kit has a ton of really cool organic percussion sounds, which is something that I wanted to integrate into these drums. And along with that, I used my Surge drum suite, which includes over 500 custom drum sounds, which are perfect for making experimental beats in the style of Tyler the Creator, Kanye West, Travis Scott, Mike Dean, all those people. But yeah, shameless promotion aside, just make sure you're using super experimental and non-common drum sounds. Now, once you have your drum sounds picked out, you're gonna wanna set your BPM to anywhere from 150 to 160. I have mine at 155 though. And you're gonna wanna lay down a super busy pattern. So just like the snippet, I have the kick playing the one-e anda of every other bar. And along with that, we're keeping it busy with a ton of various percussion sounds. You're just gonna wanna lay down your main things like your kick, your snare, and your hats, and then give the drums some depth with a ton of percussion. And now one thing you may have noticed from the preview is that my drums are not quantized, and this is essential to this style. And I'm gonna show you the easiest way you can achieve this with FL Studio. So all you're gonna do is select your drum pattern, go to the top left to this little arrow, click it, go to Tools, and then go all the way to the right to Humanize. This is gonna bring up the Humanize tool, and the thing that you're gonna wanna mess around with the most is the start time range. So if this is at 0, it does not affect the start time of any of the notes. But if it's at 1, it greatly randomizes the start time of the notes, essentially offsetting them from the grid. Now, for all of the drum sounds, I put the start time on 1. And then another thing you could play around with as well is the velocity range. So yet again, if it's at 0, it doesn't affect the velocity at all. And if it's at 1, it greatly randomizes the velocity. And I applied this to each and every one of my drum sounds. So with that being said, this is what our drums sound like playing that busy pattern and being humanized. Now, one thing you may notice is that these drums lack that grit from Tyler's snippet. And I'm going to show you exactly how you can achieve that. It's super simple. All you're going to do is take all of your drum components by holding Control and dragging over them. And you're going to route them to a single channel by going to one of these arrows on any insert, right-clicking it, and hitting route to this track only. This is going to allow you to add effects to all of the drum sounds at once without having to do it all individually. And to get that sound, we're only using 2 effects. The first of which is a tape saturator. Now, I'm using FabFilter Saturn 2, but there's tons of free tape saturators out there. And I just cranked the drive up to around 60%. And then as well as that, I threw down an EQ, taking out some of the high-end frequencies and ducking some of the sub to low frequencies. So now with the effects on, this is what the drums sound like. So just to recap the drum section, you're going to want to use experimental drum sounds, play a very busy drum pattern with lots of percussion, humanize your drums, and route your drums to a drum bus and apply saturation and EQ. So now with that being said, the next portion of the beat that we're going to be going over is the melody. And now for the melody, you're going to want to be in a minor scale, playing a progression going from the 5 to the 6 of the scale. And the 5 and 6 of any minor scale are 1/2 step away from each other. And this is perfect for creating that dark and sinister atmosphere in your melodies. So with that being said, the first melodic aspect that I threw down and that is also present in the snippet is going to be a siren. Now, I just have this cymatic siren, which is only playing 1 note, which is perfect for what we're going for. And the only thing that I did for this siren is I automated the pitch so that it's going from C sharp to D, which is the 5 and 6 of our scale. Now, once you have some kind of siren-like sound, you're going to want to layer that with some kind of classic grungy synths. And the first of which is making use of something called a fifth harmony. And all we're going to do to achieve that is we're going to take our root notes, which are C sharp and D, and move them up by 7 semitones. And as you'll notice, these are also playing that half step interval, which is further adding to the evilness of the melody. The next thing that I threw down is this high octave counter melody, and it's making use of those half step intervals yet again, which are the 5 and the 6 of the scale, as well as the 2 and the 3 of the scale. And it's also making use of the root note of our scale, which assists in resolution within the melody. And then the last aspect of the melody that I want to cover is going to be the sub bass. This right here is what's going to make or break your beat. I'm being dead serious. If your sub bass isn't punching through the mix and rumbling the beat, it's just not going to hit the same. So with that being said, it's playing a super simple pattern yet again, playing the 5 and the 6. But what's really important about this sub bass is the effects. So yet again, I'm using FabFilter Saturn for some saturation, but this time I'm using amp saturation and I have the drive at 100%. Along with that, I have an EQ taking out the high ends, ducking this low frequency, which is primarily where the kick is hitting, and boosting the sub frequency. Additionally, I have down R bass, which really assists in bringing up those sub range frequencies. And then finally, I just have a limiter, which is sidechain to the kick. So without the effects, this is what the bass sounds like. And with the effects, this is what it sounds like. So to summarize the melody in a similar way I summarized the drums, you're going to want to have a siren with some pitch automation. You're going to want to layer that siren with some really harsh and gritty synths, making use of half-step intervals. And you're going to want to have some kind of distorted sub bass. So with that being said, this is what the melody sounds like all together. And now the final thing that I want to cover in this tutorial is going to be mastering, because this is a huge aspect of how to achieve that sound. And the one plugin that I really recommend grabbing if you want to achieve this sound is going to be Sketch Cassette. Now, this plugin is going to give your drums a lot of extra warmth and character. And as well as that, they have this age knob down here, which can give it that vintage gritty sound. So for this, I have it on the Type 2 cassette on the master setting. I have the age somewhere in between new and used. And then I'm also boosting the out gain by a little bit. Now, as well as that, I have 2 basic mastering effects, which are going to be Ozone 11. And on that, I just have a stabilizer, clarity, an imager, as well as an EQ. And then additionally, I have down Soothe 2, which is just taking out any kind of harsh frequencies. So without any of those plugins, this is what the beat sounds like. And with those plugins, this is what the beat sounds like. So with that being said, that is going to completely cover how to make some dirty beats in the style of Tyler, the Creator's newest snippet, Saint Chroma. I know that this tutorial was pretty information heavy, so if you have any questions, please feel free to throw them in the comments down below and I will do my best to answer them. Also, consider checking out my Patreon where I post the FLPs to all of my beats in all of my videos, including this one. So if you wanted to go in depth and study the melody, the drums, the arrangement, the mixing, the mastering, all that kind of stuff, it's right at your fingertips. And finally, consider subscribing as I post 1 tutorial a week and anywhere from 1 to 2 sound kits a month. Other than that, it's going to be it.